I brought the smartest man who ever lived to 2026. Leonardo da Vinci, painter, inventor, anatomist, the man who sketched flying machines 400 years before we ever built them. I spent an entire day showing him the future. Rockets, robots, the inside of a beating human heart displayed on a screen. And none of it got the reaction I expected. Because the one thing that finally made history's greatest genius stop, go quiet, and put his pen down was something that takes us 9 seconds and absolutely zero talent to make. I'll show you what it was, but first, you need to see what didn't impress him, because that's the part I got completely wrong. I started big, really big. I took Leonardo to watch a helicopter take off. I figured a flying machine would completely break his brain. Instead, he watched it rise into the air, tilted his head, and smiled, like he was greeting an old friend. Because here's something most people don't know. Back in the late 1400s, Leonardo had already designed something astonishingly similar: an aerial screw, a machine meant to lift straight into the sky. He imagined the idea 500 years before helicopters became reality. He wasn't amazed that we could fly. He was amazed it took us this long. I showed him industrial robots. Again, nothing. He simply watched the joints moving and immediately started sketching them. Because Leonardo had already designed a mechanical knight centuries earlier. To him, our robots weren't magic. They were unfinished ideas, finally completed. Then came rockets. He admired them, but he wasn't shocked. He had spent years studying birds, designing parachutes, imagining gliders, dreaming about human flight. Our machines weren't miracles. They were his dreams, finally catching up with reality. So, I'm 0 for 3. Nothing is landing. And then, walking through my apartment, he stopped at something I never even planned to show him. And that's when everything changed. It was a photograph. Just a framed photo of my family. Leonardo slowly reached toward it. He froze. He leaned closer, studying every tiny detail. Then, completely serious, he asked me which artist had painted it. When I told him no one had painted it, that a machine captured it in a fraction of a second, he actually stepped backward. The helicopter didn't surprise him. A photograph almost did. Because Leonardo spent his entire life trying to capture reality, the way light behaves, the way shadows soften, the tiny expression hidden inside a smile. He worked on the Mona Lisa for years, layer after layer, trying to recreate what our phones capture without even thinking. Then, he accidentally took a photo with my phone. It instantly appeared on the screen. He looked at it, looked at me, and burst into laughter. Real laughter. Not because he was afraid, because he was delighted. And that's exactly why what happened 20 minutes later hit so much harder. People think geniuses from the past would fear modern technology. Leonardo was the exact opposite. He loved tools. Every new tool meant a new way to learn. So I handed him an iPad and an Apple Pencil. Within minutes, he was drawing, undoing the stakes, zooming in, layering colors instantly. He couldn't stop smiling. He was actually giggling. The man who painted the Mona Lisa with brushes and oil paint didn't want to give the tablet back. He kept trying new things, exploring, experimenting, every few seconds discovering another possibility. He would have loved having tools like these. And that's where I made my mistake, because I thought, if he loves this, he's going to love the next thing. So I opened an AI image generator. I typed a portrait of a woman in the style of the Renaissance. 9 seconds later, the screen filled with a painting. Beautiful, detailed, masterful. The kind of image that would have taken Leonardo an entire year. He didn't smile. He didn't clap. He didn't speak. He simply put the stylus down. Silence. Then he asked me one question. One question I still can't stop thinking about. But what did it learn? Not what model made this. Not how does it work? Not can I use it? His question was, what did it learn? Because to Leonardo, the painting was never the point. The years spent studying anatomy, observing light, making mistakes, starting over, those years were what transformed him into Leonardo. The artwork was only the evidence. The machine made the painting, but it skipped the part that made the artist. A Leonardo who could paint the Mona Lisa in 9 seconds would never have become Leonardo da Vinci. I expected him to hate AI. He didn't. He pointed at the AI, then at the tablet, then at me, and suddenly I understood. He wasn't worried about the machine. He thought the machine was incredible. He was worried about us. Would we still choose the slow path when the fast one is always available? Because the slow path was never about making better paintings. It was about becoming a better human being, and no machine can ever do that for you. Eventually, it was time to send Leonardo home, back to a world without photographs, without tablets, without AI, without an undo button. Just his hands, his eyes, and years of patient observation. He didn't leave thinking our technology was evil. Honestly, he seemed a little jealous. But he left me with one question I don't think we've answered yet. Today, we can create almost anything instantly without understanding how it works. Leonardo spent an entire lifetime trying to understand everything. And somehow, only one of those paths created Leonardo da Vinci. The machine can make the painting, but it cannot make you. So let me ask you something. Are you still willing to do the hard thing now that you don't have to? If this made you think, I'd love it if you subscribed, and maybe go make something the slow way this week. I'll see you in the next episode of Pulled from History.